All right, well, it's November, and folks, that means it's time for your November 2024 Ocean City real estate market update. I'm Jim Murray. I own sellingocnj.com. I'm also a full-time agent here with Keller Williams Jersey Shore, and I specialize here in the Ocean City, New Jersey market and the surrounding markets. So if you want to get an understanding of what your home may be worth, or maybe you have a question about a property or you want to see something in person, reach out. I'd love to help you out. So I think it's important to start off by saying this was just a very difficult month to make a market update. I had actually pre-recorded a video prior to the election, and there were so many what ifs that the video was just so long. There was just too much information to cover. And I found myself kind of tiptoeing around the thought process if we saw a second Donald Trump term, because I think it's important to mention that the information I'm sharing here, it's just raw numbers. I'm not talking about character. I'm not talking about policy. I'm just looking at real numbers on where we were. And now that we know Donald Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States, where I think we're going to be in the next 12 to 24 months. So please keep that in mind. Don't jump down my throat. Look at the information if you're looking to enter the market or exit the market, and plan accordingly. So let's talk about where we were prior to the election. If I'm being honest with you, we were not heading in a great direction. So spanning out through the COVID era, we were sitting around 2 to 3 months of inventory. Look, we all know that it's been crazy. It's been a seller's market. Name your price, name your terms. Buyers have been out there struggling. The room has been crowded, multiple offers, dropping contingencies, all these things over the last couple of years. And the one trend that I noticed that the absorption rate jumped from 2 to 3 months of inventory to over 5 months of inventory. Now, what the hell is the absorption rate, you're probably saying? It's a metric that realtors use to gauge the general direction of the market. Now, how does it work? You take active listings. Let's say that's 200 active listings, and you divide that by the amount of properties that went under contract in the last 30 days. Let's pretend that number is 50 properties. 200 divided by 50 is 4 months. That's saying it would take 4 months to eat through the remaining amount of inventory. The way that metric works is really anything between 4 and 5 months of inventory is somewhat of a balanced market. Not really seller, not really buyer. That's kind of more balanced. Once you cross over that 5 mark and you start getting into the 6 months of inventory, you are definitely trending toward balanced buyer's market rather than balanced seller's market. I hope you're following along. So once again, we were sitting at that 2 to 3 months worth of inventory, heavy seller's market. But I noticed that bump in May up to over 5 months of inventory. And that trend, May, June, July, August, September, that carried all the way through almost 6 months worth of data suggesting that we were trending in a buyer's market direction. We saw price adjustments. We saw properties that used to be sold in a day or a week sitting for months. We definitely saw a shift in the temperature of the buyers. And really, I think what's important to note is that month of inventory number didn't shift because we got a surplus of inventory. It shifted because demand fell off a cliff. But the alarming part of that stat during that time of the year is May, June. I mean, these are peak high demand months for our selling season. So that was definitely a stat that I was curious and determined to follow through the summertime, because if that's a response that we're getting during peak buying season, what were things going to look like in the wintertime? You know, during the holidays, which is statistically a slower time of the year. I ran the numbers right before I made my pre-election video, and the number actually jumped to over 6 months of inventory. It's been 5 or 6 years since we've seen a number that high in inventory. And going into the election, strictly looking on a real estate level basis, I truly felt that if there was not a disruption to that pattern, I truly felt like that trend was going to continue through spring 2025 and into the summer. Now, just because you see the market jump to 6 months of inventory, that doesn't mean I was going to go run to my buyers and tell them to cancel contracts. That doesn't mean that I was going to run to my sellers and tell them to light their house on fire. What it means is that you have to buy with the right intention and you have to buy with the right goals. You have to go into a property and you have to take into consideration where your family might be in the next 5 years or 7 years in case you're holding onto that property that long. And if you're a seller, you have to really outweigh what your general goals are. If you truly need to sell, I was going to recommend that you had to jump on the horse pretty quickly and try to get ahead of the market. But if you really didn't need to sell and you'd be happy to hold for the next 5 years, great. You can kind of keep on doing business as usual and let the dust settle to see which way it went. So now that we know that Donald Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States, I am confident in suggesting that I do feel like this will be a pattern disruption. And my reason is during the first Trump administration, we saw a lot of deregulation. There was a lot of jobs that were brought back to the United States. The economy overall felt like it was on a really good track. Hearing the very buyers that were out and about. I do open houses every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday. And the vast majority of buyers were coming in. And these are buyers that just got kicked for the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, bidding wars and dropping contingencies that are meant to protect you, overpaying for properties. The vast majorities of buyers were saying, I think if she is elected, I think prices are going to continue to slide. And look, it was hard for me to disagree with that because the numbers suggested that at the current time, we were trending heavily in that direction. So I think we get a general idea of where we were and where I felt like overall we were heading. So now let's talk quickly about buyers. If I'm a buyer right now, we just got a rate cut. I'm gonna urge you to get out into the market sooner than later because I have a gut feeling that spring of 2025 will be it will look a lot like it did a year and a half ago. I have multiple listings that are out there and not on all, but I had more inquiries over the last couple days on those listings than I've had over the last month. And I think you're seeing people that may feel like they need to now get active in case we see major rate cuts, in case we see that surge of people coming back out in the market if they're more optimistic. So if I'm a buyer, I'm getting my financing in order and I'm getting out there and I'm getting active before the market fills in, and I'm gonna try to see if I can negotiate some great terms. Maybe I can still get a couple dollars off of a property so that the sellers don't have to carry them through the wintertime. And I'm gonna start that sooner than later because I truly believe that we're gonna see a disruption in the direction we were going in. If I'm a seller, I think that a Trump administration was a general positive direction if you're holding a property in Ocean City. And for the same reasons that I just urged buyers to get out there and shop, I think that you're going to see a surge of buyers coming off the sidelines looking to make deals. Now, if your only goal for selling is for the top price, the top terms, I would probably keep your property active through the holidays. And then I would probably take it off in the January range, the February range, let it reset with the automatic understanding that it's going to go back up in March to capture what may be a optimistic surge going into the spring of 2025. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you like the information, I ask that you would subscribe. And if there's anything I can do to help, just reach out.